This is after the flag, and what a Grand Prix that was. The 24-lap Spanish Grand Prix in the end certainly didn't disappoint. Louis Suddaby and Simon Crafar are ready to talk you through all the key moments of what was a gripping Grand Prix, a tense battle, which really built to a fascinating conclusion between Pecco Bagnaia and Brad Binder. We'll talk about them both individually as we go on. But first of all, just the skill on show this afternoon, the battle we saw between Bagnaia and Binder, you could tell towards the end of the Grand Prix that neither left anything on the table this afternoon, and it was truly two world-class MotoGP riders going punch for punch.
Yes, and Jack was hanging on there best he could as well. I was well impressed that he managed to do that. The two in front, I loved watching them those last laps. Pecco's efforts during the race as well, frustrated repeatedly, you know, from those first couple of laps, he looked the fastest man, you know, but he couldn't get by, and then they got into a rhythm, and he ended up having to drop back, you know, to I think to give his front tyre a bit of fresh air, and then came back and had another go, and it just kept getting frustrated. But his effort in the end, when it came to like 5 laps to go, when he put the hammer down, it was brilliant. The thing I was surprised about is how Brad could adapt and like cat-like skills on the bike. He was watching Pecco and adjusting to hang on for that last lap attack. He never gave up. What a show.
Plenty of key incidents in that Grand Prix. This is the second start that you're looking at. You just saw a moment ago the first restart. Your view on that? Fabio Quartararo, Miguel Oliveira, who we wish all the best. Sadly, he suffered a dislocated shoulder. And Marco Bezzecchi, 3 into 1 or 3 into 2, doesn't really go. What was your view of that particular incident into what is a very tight turn 2?
Yeah, and there's another one just here. Well, first of all, the tight turn 2 one, I think it's how MotoGP is at the moment, meaning it's so difficult to pass, and we're talking about tyres getting, you know, you need to qualify, you need the start, there's tyres getting hot if you follow. All of these things make the riders take more, it's more pressure, and they take more risk, more effort on the early laps. Like, for example, before all of these devices and the pressure on this front tyre, it was more that you could settle in. The saying was you don't win the race on the first lap, you know. So settle in and then you march forward, but you can no longer do that. And I think that's why we're seeing the incidents on the early lap. But it wasn't a crazy move. It was like you said. I think. Look, I haven't had the same view as the boys upstairs. You know, the FIM guys, because I'm in pit lane with sweat running down and peering over people's shoulders, so I can't say as clearly as them. But from what I saw, it was nothing terrible. And especially Pecco's one. There is 2 different lines on that corner. We've seen it repeatedly, and we're always going to do it. We're always going to see that on that corner. Nobody went down. I would have left Pecco alone on that one.
And Fabio Quartararo, he had to serve a long lap penalty for that, which he then had to serve twice because he went out into the green on the outside of the long lap penalty loop, so he didn't stay within the confines of the long lap penalty loop itself. That's why he had to serve it again, as Simon explained, during the Grand Prix itself. The less said about Yamaha's race, the better, I suppose. We might as well touch on them quickly before we move on to the key runners from today's Grand Prix. 10th in the end for Fabio Quartararo, which is possibly a pretty good salvage job given that he had 2 long lap penalties, but this would have been a circuit that both Fabio and Yamaha would have been pinning their hopes on. The way their season started, hopefully we'll be better at Jerez because we always go well there, but they didn't this time.
I walked out of the commentary box at the end of FP2 and then realised they are in trouble, you know, and I am sure, I said at the time, that all of Yamaha felt the same as I did. You know, and I've got to say, that I've also got to point out that Fabio normally does magic and he's faster than his teammate, and he wasn't here in qualifying. So it's not all down to Yamaha.
Yeah, Fabio Quartararo having a tough time himself. You already feel at this stage of the season it's going to take something truly miraculous for him to be in anything resembling world title contention this season. In the end, we had a battle then for the race lead between the 2 factory KTMs and Pecco Bagnaia. You briefly touched upon it there, but the battle between Bagnaia and Miller with the contact at turn 6, what was your view on that?
That corner, we saw Jack going in, looked wide repeatedly, but some of them were, but I think you can use that corner like that. You can stay away from the apex on the way in because the corner's so tight, miss it a little, and use the braking area longer past the first apex, then turn back and get a run out. And I think that's how Jack was riding it, and it looked like he was running wide repeatedly, but not all of them were. It's the line. Then, but if someone goes a little bit wider, you can, if you're behind and you can stuff it inside, you can attempt to pass, which Pecco did, but the other rider's coming back. So it's again 2 riders going for the same spot. And I mean, if he'd put him down and it was a big impact and stuff, then I might look at it differently. But it wasn't. It was like to me, it was the proper argy-bargy we like to see. You know, we want to see. Yeah, that's how I see it.
We saw a very sideways move later on by Jack Miller as he went past Jorge Martin, which had Martin shaking his head. Martin ended up finishing in 4th place this afternoon. Perhaps come on to him a little bit later on. So having had to do all that hard work again, getting back past Jack Miller, that left Pecco Bagnaia with around an 0.8 of a second gap to make up to Brad Binder, and there just seems to be a switch that got flicked towards the end of the Grand Prix where Bagnaia realised, I've got to get on with this now, I've got some tyre left to perhaps use at the end of the race. And the way that he dealt with Brad Binder, who is notoriously difficult to overtake, if you're outbraking Brad Binder into a corner, you're doing something pretty special. And Bagnaia, we've never been able to doubt his class. Of course, he's made some key mistakes in recent Grand Prix, but he showed once again why he's every inch the world champion.
Yes, and like I said on the commentary, or was it the show here, that I would like to say to Pecco before this weekend, don't worry, a good result or two and all the knockers will forget, you know. And you've already half forgotten, really, haven't you? You know, I have. He's class. He's great. The way he fought back from a really rough Friday and made a step, came out fighting, you know, and then made another step. That was in the sprint. Then made another step to where he was the man to beat. Today, I think, you know, hats off to him. It was, even they said it was one of their best weekends, best wins ever. That was from Gigi. So I'm really impressed. Great weekend. How he managed everything, you know, the fight back from Friday and the race. He managed it beautifully.
It's a key point you make, because we talk about it in the context of what happened in Austin, that Pecco Bagnaia was able to banish those demons and win here this weekend. But as you say, on Friday, they were in a real mess at Ducati. He was in qualifying 1, was able to get himself through. It's amazing to think that the 2 riders who were battling for victory today and yesterday were in qualifying 1 yesterday morning. Both managed to get through, came through to qualify on the front 2 rows and battled for 2 victories across the 2 days here. He had no front confidence at all on Friday, and sectors 3 and 4 were particularly where he was struggling, and it was through that part of the lap where he had that extra grip over Brad.
Yes, and we just saw how Pecco pulled it tight and stuffed it in there, and then Jack came back, you know, which Jack always was going to. But, anyway, we've spoken about that. I think they're all managing, trying to get to the end of the race with something left, and Pecco knew with, like, we could see it lap time wise, 5 laps to go. He put the hammer down, and it was wonderful. But I'd like to say how Brad held on to Pecco. I genuinely thought, well, Pecco did start to march away, and Brad came back. You know, he watched, learnt, and never gave up. And I've got to say, I love that about Brad.
And Bagnaia then, he made the gesture in part of it to the number 1 on his bike. He was sending a very clear message, and that was to perhaps some of those who've been detractors of Bagnaia in recent Grand Prix. As a rider, I guess everyone's different, aren't they? Some people are able to just shrug off the criticism from outside, and some riders really carry it as baggage around with them. First of all, how did you handle it? But also, I guess, from Bagnaia's point of view, if you use it as a motivation, try and use it as a positive, it's no bad thing.
No, it hurts, you know. I think it hurts all of them. And especially when it's, like, probably close to home, it'll be press in his home country. And so I think the best way is to come back and do what he did today. But I've got to remind you, the 2 crashes he had was rain, and the next one was in critical conditions in the US where half the field almost fell off with the front. He did the same. So we're back on normal conditions, and he was awesome.
And with 20 Grand Prix now in 2023, in addition to 20 sprints, it's asking a lot to expect from 40 potential opportunities for the rider to see the checker flag in all of them. They are indeed human. Jack Miller put in a sensational performance this weekend. His first sprint podium yesterday for KTM. And after leading earlier on this afternoon, he converted that into third in the full-length Grand Prix. He's giving his reaction to Matt Birt.
Okay, Jack Miller, congratulations, Jack. What a weekend for you and KTM. Your first front row for this team. A podium in the sprint, a podium today. Great weekend. At one point, though, in that feature race, mate, I thought you and Ruby were ordering that boat for Christmas there.
Yeah, it was looking that way, you know. I was picturing myself in a white, sailor's hat right until the end there. But, no, it wasn't to be today. The boys rode a fantastic race. It was a long, grueling sort of race out there, trying to manage the tyres, trying to manage the front end. Brad rode phenomenal. I'm gutted for him because, to lead that many laps and not come away with the big one, it's tough, but he rode awesome. Didn't really put a foot wrong all race. And Pecco as well. I mean, he sort of had to go up and down like a yo-yo through the paddock. I mean, he had that little penalty there with me and had to drop a position, and then he managed to make his way through on me and close down that gap to Brad and also get past him, which is no easy feat in itself. But an awesome weekend for us and the team. Started out strong with Danny leading FP1 and FP2, and no, it's been awesome. So to be here already at round 4 is really nice.
Jack, so many talking points in that Grand Prix. One of them was the incident that you had with Pecco coming out of turn 6. He got the one position drop penalty. From the outside, I think a few people might think that's a little bit harsh. You were on the bike. Can you give us your perspective?
I mean, I was on the racing line. I mean, whether or not the penalty needed to be there, I don't know. I mean, Pecco said that he had some locking coming in there with the slipstream or whatever. And he kind of had to go to the inside. I felt like I was on the line, and then I was really lucky that I just seen sort of the big bright red front end of the thing coming underneath me as I was coming back towards the curb, and I was able to stand up in time not to have like the Lorenzo Dovi kind of incident there, because that corner is well known for it. So I wasn't obviously happy at the time. I give it a wave and whatever, but I mean, this racing, that's what you do. We're all complain and whinge a little bit, but then we get back to work, and that's all I was doing. I was just setting my pace to get back past, first and foremost, Martin, and then again go past, or try to catch back up to Pecco. But I'm if they want to do the penalty. But the thing is, like we're asking for, it's just got to be consistent. It's got to be happening to the guys that are in 15th as well. If there is stupid stuff going on back there, it needs to be penalised as well. It's not just the guys that are on the cameras.
Jack, you came to KTM from the factory caddy team. I think you felt yourself like you might have a little bit of a point to prove. You always seem to be having to silence the critics, and I've no idea why, because you've proven yourself for so many years, mate, to be a top-notch MotoGP rider. But this must feel sweet as well, though, to ram a few critics down people's throats, because round 4, 2 podiums. I can tell by your smile you're loving life at KTM.
No, I'm having a ball, honestly. I love this stuff. Honestly, I love it so much. A lot of guys, in this championship sit there and complain about the bike they're on and how other bikes are better and so on. If you really want it, go out and do it. It's not hard. I wasn't going to stick around where I was. I wasn't feeling comfortable there, and I wanted a new challenge. It's called taking a risk on yourself. I mean, people in business do it all the time. If you trust in yourself enough, yeah, it can come back to bite you on the ass. But, I trust in myself enough and my ability and the people around me that I have working with me. And, we took a risk, and it feels a mega when it comes off. And, I can't thank, first and foremost, KTM for giving me this opportunity. Thanks to the people that doubt us, because I love it. To be back here on the podium, not only me to have both those bikes on the podium after so many riders last year were sitting there complaining about how bad this bike was. Where's it now?
I don't think you need to prove a point, Jack, but you certainly did. I bet that chewy tasted nice for the first podium in KTM.
Oh, they always taste nice, but that's what Brad goes. He goes, the champagne tastes good, doesn't it? I said, yeah, it'd be good if it was a little bit colder, but anything tastes good at the moment, and back on the podium. I didn't think it would happen this quickly, but we're here and now we're just going to keep working on it. But I'm stoked. I mean, a lot of guys said, you know, after the sprint race yesterday that KTM couldn't keep sliding its way all the way around for a feature race. And, you know, I think Brad and I both proved that this thing can slide all day long and she'll stay there.
Jack, you always put on an awesome show. If I was you, mate, I wouldn't throw that boat catalogue away just yet. I think that first win's coming. Well done, mate. Congratulations.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, I wish I had Jack Miller's outlook on life. Wasn't that just the best interview you've heard in a long time? Jack Miller, third place today. We'll talk about KTM specifically in a moment, but from Jack's point of view, he said the phrase there, essentially betting on himself, which is what he did. But how much credit does he deserve for, first of all, taking that decision to go to KTM, but ultimately prospering with them?
I love the guy. You know, watching that interview, he's so kind all the time in the paddock, and then he's so good on the bike and so good in the interviews. Yeah, I love him. The thing is, I said in commentary earlier in the weekend that when you see a rider change manufacturer, I really enjoy it. It's what I most admire about Valentino, his move to Yamaha when he did it. And there's lots of things to admire Valentino about. But that one top, because a rider is exposed when they move. It's really easy to see your weaknesses. You have to, fight to make friends with a completely new package, a new team, and make it work, make it your friend, you make friends with it. And Jack's come in there and he's done more than I expected. I thought he's getting off the best bike in the paddock to one that wasn't. And I thought, how can he go better? And he is. And so he obviously really wants it. He's got people supporting him, believing him, got his back. That's really valuable. But he's also brought in a massive boost to them. He's brought in knowledge. He's helped them really improve the electronics. He's told them their bike is good, what's good, what needs improving, and the thing is going like this. And I'm sure even the Italians are looking over their shoulders, Aprilia and Ducati going, these guys are coming, And I think Jack has been a big part of that.
Big part of that. Also a big part of that, Brad Binder, second place for him today. He was just 0.2 of a second away from doing the double here at Jerez. Let's get his post-race thoughts with Matt Birt.
Second place, so close to a brilliant double victory here in Jerez, but so many positives for you to take from this weekend, Brad. The win in the Tissot sprint yesterday with the Supermoto show on a MotoGP bike. It was quite similar in that full-length feature race. You gave your all, just came up short, but what a weekend for you. A first and second, you'd have taken that on Thursday, wouldn't you?
If you told me I'd get a win in a second after Friday afternoon when we came out and we were sitting in 11th place and in Q1, I would have signed for it straight away. But, what a job my team have done. They've absolutely flipped things around for us. The bike felt fantastic from FP1. We've made such a step forward. I feel strong. I feel able to fight with the guys. Made one big mistake with 5 laps to go, which let the gap that I'd built had just evaporate completely in 1 lap. So that was my one big mistake. But, I'm going to live and learn with that one. And, we keep fighting. But I really wanted to try and get Pecco into that last corner. Did my quickest lap of the race on the last lap. But, I just wasn't close enough for the send in the last corner.
How hard were you pushing, mate, on that last lap? A 1:38.2 on 24 lap old tyres. I mean, you were going for it. You gave it everything.
Well, exactly. That was it. I left nothing on the table. I don't be able to sleep at night if I hadn't have tried. So I was close, but today we didn't get the job done. But anyway, it's solid points. Fantastic day for myself and the team. Another 2 KTMs on the podium, and let's keep working and try again next week.
When you were closing in that 4th sector, we were getting flashbacks to doing Crafar, Marquez, Lorenzo, Pedrosa, Lorenzo, Rossi, Gibernau. Was there a little bit in your mind where you thought, I'm just going full send and throwing up the inside here?
I would have loved to have added my name to that list, but to be honest, today wasn't the day for it. I was that little bit too far back, and Pecco was in the middle of the track. So if I had have gone, I would have been on the inside curb, going straight towards the gravel. So yeah, sometimes the risk is worth it, but today there wasn't that opportunity.
And just quickly, Brad, when Pecco did come through, where did you feel that he just had that small advantage? Because there was nothing between you, really.
Yeah, the one thing that Pecco definitely had that I didn't at the end was the ability to roll. He could roll more on the edge, where I had a little bit less edge grip for sure, and the rear was moving around a little bit more. But obviously I'd been pushing from lap 1 out front on my own, and I probably didn't look after my tyre the way I should have.
Brad, that was an awesome show on Saturday and Sunday for you. Huge congratulations to you. 2 podiums. Congratulations to KTM as well. We'll hope for more of the same with Le Mans. Well done, mate.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Second place for Brad Binder this afternoon. Pound for pound, it's difficult to argue that there are many riders in MotoGP at the moment doing a better job than him.
He is like, sorry, but like Marc in his hunger. You know, he just, like you said, he leaves nothing on the table, puts everything in there. And I said to his face in Parc Fermé, he's a nightmare to his opponents because he never gives up. He's just like a little terrier the whole way to the last corner, trying to find ways to go a little bit. And I love it. It's absolutely fantastic. He's a pure racer.
Quickly before we go, let's hear from the race winner, Pecco Bagnaia with Matt Birt.
Pecco Bagnaia, what a weekend. 12th on Friday, struggling with the front end, 2nd in the sprint, and now a fantastic win in a really difficult Spanish Grand Prix. Pecco, G. Delinia told us afterwards he thought that was your best race for Ducati. It's got to be right up there. How do you feel? Because that was sensational.
I think it's, yeah, in terms of weekend, looking at what happened and everything is the best one. Close to the one in Silverstone, but better because the fight was also incredible. I really enjoyed this race. I really enjoyed this weekend because I think this weekend can help us to grow together as a team. Friday was difficult, but my team have worked a lot to give to me a good feeling. I asked the correct things. My team have understood it well, the way to work, and finally today, with this other little step we did compare yesterday, we are win again. We have won again, so I'm very happy. Wasn't easy because KTM was incredible also yesterday. So I just tried to be perfect and precise on everything, and don't use too much the rear tire just to manage the tires. And finally, win here is always special for the grandstand, for everything. So I'm very happy.
So many talking points in that race, Pecco. One of them was the move on Jack Miller. You had to drop one position for that. I mean, a lot of people looking from the outside felt like that was just hard racing. What's your thoughts about the penalty? Talk us about your opinion on that.
I don't want to speak about too much on this penalty, but sincerely, I just accept it. But in the future, I want to see every time the same thing because we already was many touches, many aggressive overtakes, much higher than what we did today. So I want just to see every time the same penalty because if not, it's not fair.
You kept your cool, you kept your composure. Lap 19 was so vital. A 1:37.989 on 19 lap old Michelin tyres. How important was that, and where did that come from? Because out of nowhere you're on Binder's rear tyre. That was the pivotal moment in that race, wasn't it?
Yeah, sincerely, I was when I overtook Jack. First time, I was having the feeling that without someone in front, the feeling with the front was better. But as soon as I received the drop, I lost time because I was again back, and then was difficult again to be back on the rear wheel of Jack. But as soon as I overtook him, I just needed one lap to have again the same feeling with the front. That was good, and to push again. Because the pace was strong, but I was thinking that my pace was good enough to maintain well the rear tire, and then when I saw the possibility, I tried to push, and 7.9 was great for sure.
And just quickly, Pecco, in Parc Fermé, you've had a little bit of criticism, of course, the crash in Argentina and then crashing out of the lead in Kota. A crash in the rain is so easy to do. A crash in difficult conditions in Kota as well. You were pointing at that number 1 on your bike in Parc Fermé. Can you just tell us what that was all about? Was just that a reminder of, yes, I'm the world champion. Pecco Bagnaia is not back because he never went away.
Sincerely, it was more for me, for my ego. because it's always too easy to criticize from outside, and you don't know from inside what happened. So I think that this race is a race from the number one, and I'm very happy to rebound the ones in Kota with a win. So it's great.
We didn't need reminding, but you did make a reminder today of just exactly why you are the world champion, why you've got that #1 plate. Huge congratulations, Pecco. Fantastic job, well done.
Thank you very much.
Well, he certainly rode like the #1 today. Pecco Bagnaia, the winner of the Spanish Grand Prix. If you want more reactions, stay where you are. If you're watching live, the press conference is up next. If not, we will see you in a couple of weeks' time for a historic occasion, the 1000th Grand Prix, the French Grand Prix at Le Mans in 2 weeks' time. See you then.